Greg Hunter, go ahead.
So, Jared, bowl games always present a extended period of time prior to your last game or after your last game. So, just keeping rhythm and consistency. This one's not quite as distant as your last game as others, but how hard is that?
Yeah, I think it's proved to be a challenge not only for us but for a lot of people. It's been an up and down year as far as being able to keep games on schedule, and we did such a good job through those first 8, and then things kind of got a little wild for us. So I think Coach Brown said this is our second game in 6 weeks, maybe 6 or 7 weeks when we play this Thursday. So like anything, you have to continue to find ways to motivate staff and players and keep us all going to stay hungry to line up and play a great opponent in a really great bowl with a lot of storied traditions. So all of it is finding ways to motivate everybody in the building to go out and put our good product on the field and finish this thing the way we all want to finish it.
John Antonik, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach. I know that they've got some preparation issues with their offense. I was curious if they're going to borrow some of your offensive players to give them the looks that they need to simulate what they're going to see off defensively.
Sure. Anytime, of course, those guys, I'll let the defensive guys talk about all they've got to go through. But you're trying to use every valuable resource you can to put them in the best position to prepare on their side for a very different opponent offensively because of all they do that's much different than most opponents you play. So it's kind of all hands on deck, and you're really divided to try to let them prepare because most times you're able to practice against each other to prepare fast looks and those things still within a week-by-week deal. And in this week's a little bit unique because our offense clearly does not do anything to help them. So it's a kind of a divided deal where you got to divide it out into halves and let them have the resources they need to give them the best looks.
Curious, I don't know who runs the scout team, but do you have to teach some basic fundamentals for the option that you wouldn't teach the way you normally run offense? Do you have to coach that up a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think, anytime you're going against something that you're not used to facing, there's a teach element to your scout looks to prepare, especially on their side. For ours, it's not as much, but still there's a different skill set that has to be taught before you can actually try to help do it and function in that realm.
Mitch Davis, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Coach, just talk about the bowl week preparation and playing in the Liberty Bowl and what it means to the program.
Yeah, you know what? Anytime you get a chance to play an extra football game, it's a tremendous tribute to our whole organization, our players, and especially in a year that's been a huge sacrifice by everybody, our fans, administration, our players, staff, you name it. And I think it's probably not been said enough publicly of the sacrifice that everybody behind the scenes, on the front lines of this all, out in our country, world, everybody, but even in our building of the people you don't hear enough about. So it's been a huge sacrifice, and to get a reward like this that feels a little different than most years, I don't think anybody would not say that. It's a little different experience in being here and not being on bowl site, but still our guys have embraced it, and our staff has too. And, I think it's a reward, and you have to treat it as such, knowing that the ultimate reward is certainly putting out a product that everybody will be proud of and we can finish this thing the right way. So it's a good way to prep it, treat it as a reward, but also know we're still playing a game of football, and we want to put something out there everybody's proud of.
Cody Nesper, go ahead.
Hey, Jared, like you were talking about, because Army's an option team, their offense gets a lot of the attention. But what have you seen from their defense so far?
Yeah, Cody, it's a good point because, listen, they're one of the top defenses in the country. I think they're giving up 14 points a game. They play a unique style, a front that slants, gains penetration. They play hard. They run to the football. They do everything that a great defense would do. They rally to the football. They're gap sound. They know exactly what they want to get done. They're good in short yardage. And, again, they play hard and run to the football. So it's a very good challenge for us. Our guys are excited for it. It's going to be really fun for us to kind of see how we've grown throughout the year and answer this challenge on the road. And it's something we really want to make sure we finish so we don't have to really maybe talk as much about being on the road and some issues we've had. So we really feel strongly about going on the road, enjoying the process, but getting over there, going to Memphis and putting out something we'll all be proud of.
Kevin Kinder.
I know that over the past few years, the idea of playing as fast as you can on every snap kind of got tempered back some by a lot of people because it put the defense under too much pressure. So with that in mind, and the way that Army can possess the ball and shorten the game, does that play into what you're going to call, what you're thinking about calling in this game?
Yeah, I think you have to factor it in week by week. I think Coach Brown does a great job of that and just preparing us for, what it's going to take to keep ourselves ready to win a fourth quarter game week by week. This week, no different, but certainly, you got to start taking into account how many possessions you will get on offense and preparing your guys for what that's going to feel like on the sideline. This is just as much of a mental prep game as it is physically because you are – Kevin, involved in a game where at times you'll feel like you're sitting over there for a while. I equate it to the guys. I was talking to the wideouts. It's almost like when you get a chance to maybe sub out in basketball and you sit over there for 4 minutes and go back in and the ball comes to you and you got to shoot a three to make it. There's nobody says, well, he just came off the bench. He wasn't warm. Nobody cares. So we've got to make sure we're prepared. We keep in the We stay at a high mental capacity to be able to handle kind of the lulls of long breaks and then come out and take advantage of possessions because there will be fewer. That's just the way it's structured.
Mike Casaza.
Kind of got me there. Going on their defense a little bit, Jared, they have a couple of defensive touchdowns this year and have done a good job on returns as well. Sometimes in game planning, is that often overlooked for offenses about what the defense can do if they get the ball and all of a sudden you have yourself in a quick change where your receivers and running backs all of a sudden become like safeties and linebackers and have to make a tackle?
Yeah, I think they have 3 on the year, which is huge. And 18 takeaways, 3 returns for touchdowns on the year. Not something I think that you put a whole lot to in teaching besides if something like that were to happen, knock on wood, hope it doesn't. But if it does, we have to run to the football the same way they do. That's really the biggest thing. You have to run to the football and get the ball back down and make them take more snaps. I hope that's all we have to discuss that, honestly.
John Antonic.
Curious, looking at the Cincinnati game, I'm sure you studied that tape. The Bearcats had a tough time running the ball and had to throw the ball. What did you see from Army, what they did to slow them down? Again, I'm sure Cincinnati's probably feeling their way through, trying to figure out who they are. But what did you see in that game that Army did well?
Yeah, you keep an eye on, watch all their games because we had time to do so, even with the shortened kind of alert of changing opponent. But, they've done a good job against the run against everybody would be the first thing. They did do a good job against Cincinnati. I think with anything, you see a developing story with everything they do. So, John, what they do a really good job of is they penetrate really well, like I was saying to it, and that's not to dodge it. It's just they penetrate gaps really well. They have high numbers, meaning the numbers are usually more in the box than what they are. So you've got a numbers issue, and they create angles. I think if anything, you go back to kind of your first days in talking about running the football, it's numbers, angles, and motivation. So if they've got numbers on you, that makes it hard, and we've got to fix that with how we design our runs and or RPOs off those. And then angles, we've got to stop angles, and sometimes they slant and move and those things. You got to be able to help try to stop them from getting to certain spots they want to get to. And then the motivation piece is huge. Our mentality in lining up is going to be crucial.
Mitch Davis, go ahead.
Coach, you talked about the bowl game being a reward, especially during this season. Can you kind of go into detail about that and how you guys, the mood in the locker room is right now?
Yeah, I think our guys are in a good place, and it's obviously it's a fight every day to keep great culture, and Coach Brown reminds us that all the time. It is a fight every day to keep that. And why? It's not because we have great kids. Our guys should be commended for what they've done, how they fought to sustain this and have a season and play the game they love, and us get to coach the game we love. So how do you do that? You have to fight for culture every single day. And how have we done that? You have to fight, you have to keep morale up. Coach Brown we've let these guys unwrap gifts, and let these guys see what it was like to share something together on December 23rd. They went snow tubing. And as they get older, it is like you tell your kids, my kids at home, you tell them that we're going to go snow tubing, Mitch, they're going to be elated. Well, as we get older, unfortunately, and our guys get cool, they start to think about, well, I'd rather just go home. I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, as soon as they all showed up, they fell in love with it and really enjoyed themselves. So it's like anything. I think whatever culture you have, if it's beat up and reminded of every single day, you come out on the other side of it, and guys don't think it's just a cliche to go do a fun exercise or to speak trust the climb or to say break it on sing the song. Things that we use in our vocabulary that's used in our building every day is as good as the people and the belief within it, or it's just a saying that falls to the wayside and it's another failing business cry that every business model and restaurants fill out every day. And I think that for us, from Coach Brown down, all of our coordinators and our assistants, you take the message, you preach it, and you have conviction. Our guys buy in, they preach it throughout the locker room when we're not around, and then you get this model that hopefully builds this thing we all call and label culture that takes over, and you get a winning program. So we're just trying to do what you would do any other time, which is take that message from head coach down, preach it, get our guys to buy into it, and then you get a good result. And so that's happened this season. It's what's going to have to happen this bowl season. It's what's going to have to happen in the off season when they come back, and so on and so forth. So sorry to be winded, but I'm pretty passionate about the fact that it is a every day, every minute type deal. And if not, it starts to fail, and then before you know it, you've got the temperature change from 80 degrees to 79. Well, nobody noticed that, but when it gets 60, somebody does. So we better remind everybody every day.